Day. The UN has recognized March the 21st as the International Day of Nowruz. It also encourages member states, international bodies, funds and programs to participate in Nowruz celebrations.
Well, certainly in those parts of the world which have had cultural ties with Iran over the last many centuries do mark this particular event. As I said, South Asia, which is India, Pakistan and Bangladesh, plus the southern Russian republics, even in parts of the Balkans, Bosnia and so on, Nowruz is celebrated, and one sees many YouTube clips from different parts of the world where they celebrate in their own authentic manner, perhaps not the same way as perhaps in Tehran or Tabriz or Shiraz and Isfahan they celebrate, but they have their own local twist to the celebration. But certainly it has become a significant part of the annual calendar in many of the countries bordering Iran and those countries that have Iranian cultural heritage with them.
Nowruz predates the establishment of the United Nations, but it still effectively promotes harmony, empathy, solidarity, interaction and dialogue of cultures. This day is about integrity and interaction, peace and prosperity, justice and joy, to deal with wars and civilizations and diversity. It emphasizes cultural convergence, brings about kindness and peaceful coexistence. Nowruz makes a platform for further interactions among nations on the one hand and states on the other hand.
Now we are joined by Mr. Muzammil Makbul at Rumi Peace Center in Kashmir to talk further about Nowruz. First of all, welcome to the program, Mr. Makbul, and let's begin by asking you about the significance of the geographically wide celebration for Nowruz.
Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me here. Nowruz marks the New Year celebration for millions and millions of people. Around 300 plus million people across the world celebrate this as a New Year, a sort of Persian New Year, especially in the regions like the Balkans, the Caucasus, Central Asia, Middle East, and in Central Asia, after Central Asia, Southeast Asia as well, especially in India, Pakistan, Iran as well, where it is celebrated with all the, religious fervor. There is festivity all around Iran, on the occasion of Nowruz. The main significance and the basic motto and the center core of attraction in the point is to meet the loved ones, to make sure that there are prayers held in each community, and a lot of people celebrate Nowruz in their own way, because this also marks the beginning of the spring, the first day of the spring. It has a very vast significance as well as culturally attached significance, and which has changed time to time and over the years and over the decades. But the center, as I said, the center core point is for peace, prosperity and brotherhood across the world, across the universe, and to seen and to unseen, basically for each and every one.
Mr. Makbul, what makes Nowruz live on throughout millenniums of wars, diseases, famine, and so on?
Nowruz has been celebrated for over 3,000 years, more than 3,000 years. So this huge number comes with a lot of, ethnicity, diversity, identity and its background, and the cultural changes as well. Definitely it has lived through millennium of wars, epidemics, pandemics, and whatnot. Because this, as I said, the center core message, the message which has been upheld till now around the world, around the globe, is of peace, prosperity, and as I said, different cultures, different people from different faiths celebrate this mark the beginning of the new year, first day of the spring. This naturally sends a vibe of positivity across the world. That is the reason Nowruz has lived through a lot of difficult times around the world, and if we will count the recent one, COVID-19, which has devastated almost entire globe. But still, the culture of celebrating the new year with positivity, with the religious fervor, having your loved ones with you should continue to go on.
Obviously, Mr. Makbul, Nowruz affects the nations, but how does it affect the states?
Well, as I said, it has a vast cultural background, so different people, celebrate it in their own unique way. But if we will talk about, India, Pakistan, and if we'll talk about, especially about Iran, it's celebrated by meeting your loved ones, by spending a couple of days with with all the loved ones, including parents, upholding the prayers, community meetings, and discussing the way forward for the entire year. It has a vast positive impact on the cultures, which define who actually you are. And at the same time, there is no harm in it, when the message is all about peace, when the message is all about positivity, when there is a time when prayers are held to have a global peace for each and everyone. Basically, as I said, it doesn't get confined to Islam only. So that's how it promotes a culture of oneness. That is very, very important. There is we live in times when world is divided into through colors, when world is divided through the GDP of each and every country, when world is divided through the religion. But Nowruz is a time when it sends out a positive message that we should recognize the entire humanity race as one. And definitely it has impact on culture, the country we live in, the state or the region we live in, and it has positive impact on the political structures of that country as well.
Mr. Makbul, how do Afghans celebrate Nowruz when they are already on the brink of a humanitarian disaster?
Well, that's actually a very important question. Afghanistan is a region which has not been conquered by anyone. A lot of monarchs, kings, as well as the governments tried to rule, but no one could rule it till now, except the Afghanis, the local Afghanis, who really want to know what they can do for their own country. But at the same time, the occasion of Nowruz is something, which will give them also an opportunity to recover, restart, and rebuild. That's the main occasion, and especially we have seen a lot of scenarios which have been changed from the recent past few months. So that also gives a vast opportunity for Afghan people who have been devastated by the war, not from recent years but from decades and decades. They have seen basically ABC and XYZ, basically everything of what war is actually. But this Nowruz should be an occasion especially focused on children, and I want to use your platform to appeal the United Nations International Children Emergency Fund to enhance their projects in the regions where they are not going into Afghanistan right now. This is the right time and the right platform for United Nations Alliance of Civilizations, to recover, restart, and rebuild, projects related to education, especially focusing on the mental health of women and children. So that would be a great surprise for the nation of Afghanistan on the eve of Nowruz.
Last but not least, Mr. Makbul, how do you view Nowruz transnationally?
Well, again, that's a very important question. For unity, Nowruz is typically celebrated in Gilgit, Balochistan, Baltistan, Swat, Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, and the other regions, other tribal regions in Pakistan, which borders with the Afghanistan as well. And time and again, there have been small, disturbances, a sort of, border conflict, we can say, a sort of border conflict in between these tribal regions and Afghanis as well. So I think it would be an opportunity for both the regions as well as the tribal tribals of the entire regions, which borders with Pakistan and as well as with the Iran as well, to come together and jointly take a message forward on how to restart and rebuild the entire Afghanistan, and what could be the possible way out for peace, for education, very importantly, and for the stability and empowerment of women. That is how a nation, a region, an entire region would grow. And as I said, this occasion would be a perfect example for all the aid organizations, especially the wings of United Nations, who can reach out and move beyond capital of Afghanistan and go to these border areas, these regions, and start their projects related to education, emergency aid, healthcare, as well as mental health and mental health, especially the life skills and mental health of children as well. So that would be a great opportunity for the children, and it would make and prosper the future of Afghanistan and the entire region as well.
On that note, I would like to thank Mr. Makbul for his precious time, knowledge and insight.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Now, let's take a look at the social media networks and see how Nowruz is reflected by the users.
Our first tweet is from Zahra Shafi, an Iranian university student who shares colorful photos of Nowruz preparations, its feeling and joy. Ellie Jane is a digital graphic artist who says this is Nowruz, which marks the new year in Afghanistan. I'm Only Indian is a Twitter user from India. She prays for people of Afghanistan and says there is light at the end of the darkness. Nonishka is another user who says Nowruz is something to look forward to in these dark days. Mir Yunus hopes Nowruz will bring never-ending peace to the world.
And that was our episode covering Nowruz, its history, and how it's celebrated in the South Asian region. Now, to watch the previous episodes and more updates, you can follow us on social media platforms. And when you do, make sure to give us your feedback. We shall meet again, same time, next week. Thank you for watching, everyone, and a happy Nowruz.